Nothing I did was working. The more I tried, the more out of control my eating became. Then, I did something I hadn't tried before. I became a savvy detective and figured things out. If I can do it, so can you. Find out more at solveyouroutofcontroleating.com.
Welcome back to Solve Your Out of Control Eating, everyone. Today we are diving into a story that hits deep. Bella is feeling trapped in a life full of anxiety and an out of control eating cycle with purging.
That's right, Michelle. I think Bella's story will really resonate with those of you who have experienced inappropriate or even unwelcome sexual contact. It's a powerful look at how unspoken anger and unresolved trauma can shape our behavior.
Well, for those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Michelle Holtzberger, a clinical social worker.
And I'm Vicki Todd, a psychoanalyst and an eating disorder specialist. Together, now wait till you hear this, Michelle.
Okay.
We crack the code on real life eating mysteries.
Oh, that's good, Vicky. Crack the code. All right, and we're going to teach you how to crack this
Crack the
code.
code
Ooh.
too.
So next we have Bella's therapy session. It's brief but powerful, and then afterwards we'll unravel what's really going on and share strategies that might help, right, Vicky?
That's right. So
Okay.
let's begin with Bella.
I'm sorry for calling twice, but it was hard to come.
But you made it.
Yes. I can't go on living like this. It's unbearable. But I'm afraid you won't be able to help me.
You sound worried.
I am.
Tell me what's going on.
Every day, I think maybe this will be the last day. Maybe today I'll stop and never go back. But I always fail. That's because I'm a stress eater. Nothing else seems to calm me down. Not reading, yoga, meditation, nothing.
Sounds like you've tried lots of things.
Yes. I get so anxious. My mom says I should talk to the family doctor and get some medication, but those have a lot of side effects. One of my coworkers took something and she swelled up like a balloon. So scary. I don't want to get fat. That's why I purge. It's so embarrassing. My eating is totally out of control. Every day I eat up all those sweets and then I make myself sick. It's disgusting. My bathroom smells like puke. My clothes smell like puke. Even my hair. But I'm just such an anxious mess.
Wonder what makes you so anxious, Bella?
There's some drama at work. A couple of women fighting over a man. It's absurd. But I don't really get involved in that. Me and my husband, Dave, we argue about the usual things: money, who's responsible for household chores, and sex. Right now, I'm dreading getting together with my in laws, and I hate going over there. But it's his dad's birthday, and I can't get out of it.
Tell me about your in-laws.
Well, the first time I met them, we went out to eat at a restaurant. I had this really cute red pencil dress on that buttoned up the back. This is really hard to talk about.
Take your time.
My future father-in-law, he snuck up behind me while we were in line and he said my dress was unbuttoned. And I know it wasn't. Anyway, he reached in and snapped my bra strap. Then he put his face near my ear and whispered, "Your boyfriend should be doing this." He had a big, creepy grin on his face. Every time I think of it, I get chills. Ugh, what a pervert. I was upset and I went to the restroom and started crying. I wanted to puke. When I finally went to the table, Dave's dad kept staring at me and winking. He still does that. Like, what a fucking asshole. I hate him so much. He's nothing but an ignorant, alcoholic piece of shit. And I Wish he would just die.
Did you tell your husband what happened?
She said Dave can't help if his dad is inappropriate and to just stay away from him. I try, but he always comes creeping around.
But you didn't tell your husband?
No,
I wonder why not.
there was no point. I knew he would, I knew how he would react. In fact, he saw his dad touch me on the top of my head one day and said, hot, hot, hot. When I said something about it later, Dave blew his top, said his dad was just being friendly. What an ass. Who does that to be friendly? It was humiliating. I really can't believe that I married Dave after all this.
I wondered about that.
I didn't want to, but he relentlessly pressured me. He had sucked up big time to my family, and they all adored him.
So you felt trapped?
Yes, yes, I'm trapped. Every time I look at Dave, I see his dad. He just looks like him. I can't stand for him to touch me. I'm always running away. That's how bad it is. I started going to psychics to find out about the future. Will I always be with Dave? Every time a psychic says no, I feel such relief. But it doesn't last, so I have to find another one.
What about that, Bella?
I want out, but I don't see any way that's going to happen. It would be a terrible blow to my family.
Wonder where you've gone, Bella.
My father-in-law says that to me all the time. Bella, you seem so many miles away. And I think, I wish I were a million miles away. I think Dave can read my mind because he gives me the dirtiest look. And then on the way home, he tells me how rude I am. There's no talking to him about it. He can't tolerate me verbalizing any anger. If I say anything, he blasts me with such rage that I immediately back down. He scares me.
But your anger doesn't magically go away. Wonder what happens to it.
I don't know.
All right, Vicky, let's put our detective caps on and dive into this Bella case. I'm thinking this is like if we think of this like a little crime show, except we're trying to solve this mystery of bulimia.
I have to tell you, Michelle, one of those little crime shows, which I happen to love, is where I got the crack the code comment.
All right, Nancy Drew.
Right. It's like a crime show. I mean, her therapy session was kind of like a crime show, but without the ominous music and the dramatic voiceovers. But Bella's story could definitely use some sound effects.
Especially when the father-in-law is kind of lurching up to her and
Oh, I know it.
snapping her bra under her dress when she
Oh,
first meets
geez.
him.
Creepy violins all the way.
Ew. Well,
I mean,
what else do we know about okay, so let's talk about the family here.
well, we don't know much about Bella's family, except that they adore Dave. You know, the husband who seems to bully Bella. He's really quite charming toward her family, but boy, is he overbearing toward her. The word steamroller comes to mind.
Yeah,
If I were Bella, I'd feel like my parents should be more tuned in and more loyal to me than him.
I know the mom gave the most unhelpful advice ever. I mean, stay away from him. That just was not helpful at all.
No, I'm sure Bella does just that as much as she can, but it can't be easy when he's constantly creeping around at these family events. Honestly, her mother's advice felt more like a shrug to me, like an oh well in verbal form. The last thing you want from your mom.
And, here we have Bella who doesn't have a lot of coping, so something set her up for this failure, and I don't think the mom really laid a good foundation for her.
No, I don't think so either. In fact, I think that comment by the mother revealed a lot. To kind of saying, just make yourself scarce, as if how that's how Bella's family has operated.
Right, that's how to problem solve is just lay low and not face the facts.
Right, and tolerate whatever comes your way without saying much.
Well, so if we switch over now to her feelings, I mean, it's no wonder she's got a list of feelings. You have them there?
Yes, I do. I took notes on Bella's feelings while I was listening to the therapy session. She's worried and afraid to be hopeful.
Which would make perfect sense, right? Because she's feeling trapped. And uh, so, who would feel hopeful when you feel like you're boxed in with nowhere to go?
Exactly. She's anxious all the time, it sounds like.
Well, with someone who can easily become enraged, she's kind of tiptoeing on eggshells, feeling like it's just not a safe environment.
No, she's embarrassed and ashamed. And really, when you think of it, the father-in-law should be the one that's embarrassed and ashamed, but Bella's feeling it.
Well, and one of the things we didn't really reiterate about the father-in-law is, I don't know if he's a raging alcoholic, then he's inappropriate, boundaryless, and of course he's not going to feel enraged. I mean, is not going to feel ashamed and embarrassed because he's in an altered state and he's got an addiction and he's not acting right.
Right. And who knows what he even remembers of how he acted.
Right.
But we don't know the extent to which he drinks.
Okay.
And the last one that I have is, and the most important one, is Bella is enraged, and I mean enraged with a capital E.
Yeah, she did really go off. I mean, once she finally opened the door to let out her feelings and she was cussing and I hate him and I wish he would die. And I mean, there's just a ton of extreme anger.
Exactly. Once she has the opportunity in her therapy session to use her words, the husband won't let her. And it doesn't sound like there's been anyone in her past. I mean, before the therapy session, it doesn't sound like there was anyone in her life that she could talk to about this.
Right. So this step that she took to get therapy was just her lifeline, her complete lifeline.
Exactly. And it will be her lifeline. Her therapy will be her lifeline. And, very slowly in this therapy session, she starts putting the puzzle pieces together, as you and I say. But
Right.
did you notice how at the end she almost went back into a state of confusion where she couldn't figure things out? She couldn't figure out what happens to her anger.
Yes, yes. Okay, so that's when she says he can't tolerate me verbalizing anger, and then he blasts me with rage, and then her anger doesn't magically go away, and the therapist asked her, "I wonder what happens to it." And then she says, "This is what you're talking about. What happens to your anger?" She says, "I don't know." So this fog, this confusion, this I can't face it, right?
Right. And you and I both think that she stuffs that anger down inside her with all this food and then she spits it out. She
Right.
throws it up.
So,
That's what her bulimia is about, getting rid of this anger. And my favorite part in this is the words unspoken anger. she doesn't have any place to speak it. So this bulimia is so helpful. I mean, when I'm working with a patient who has bulimia, they'll come into my office and they'll tell me how much they hate bulimia. Just like she did. My bathroom smells like puke, my hair smells like puke. They can tell you all kinds of reasons that they hate bulimia. And I will say to them, I got it. I understand why you hate it, but it's very important for us to look at why you love it,
Mhm. Why you
how it
love it.
serves you. And look how this serves Bella.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, she would be like a volcano waiting to erupt. But she's got this process and she hates it. She hates all of it. They'll tell me, I get sore throats and all of this physical stuff. I just hate every bit of it. But it serves a purpose. And you've got to talk about that. You've got to identify it and talk about it.
And that's where the magic begins, right? I mean, once you talk about
Exactly.
it, once it's out in the open, then it loses its grip on you. The dynamics change. Everything that you're stuffing inside is now coming out. You don't need to keep repeating this cycle.
Right.
I mean, it's not immediate, but it's a process, but it is. And we've talked before about how people, as they gain this insight, can go longer and longer before they
Exactly.
binge and purge, and they regain their insights. And so it's almost like, a couple weeks will go by, there'll be a trigger, the binge and purge will happen, but then they remember everything that they are learning and expressing, and then they can do better and longer the next time. And so
Exactly.
the setback is expected. It's the normal part of healing.
It's also, unfortunately, how we learn. And I'm a swimmer, and I remember when I tried to master different strokes or whatever, and you would just be so frustrated. You would fail and fail and fail. You had to fail and then realize what you're doing wrong, and then sooner, I mean, eventually you get it. It's after the fact at first, and it's frustrating, but then it becomes earlier and earlier in the process. And I remember my coach saying to her, I know what I did wrong," because she was going to tell me. And I said, "I know what I did wrong." And then I just swam off doing it.
So just like that happens in the physical realm, it happens in the emotional realm. And I like to use words like owning it. So
Right,
you have this awareness, but you don't own it yet. And once you put it into practice, once you try and fail, and then you regroup, then you own it, and it becomes
right.
part of your new way of operating.
And Bella's very early in the process. But this therapy session, um, I felt so bad when I heard the word hopeless or whatever, because she is a very insightful young woman and she'll be able to do this if she hangs in there. And I think she will. I think the therapy will provide so much relief for her that she will hang in there with it.
Well, let me ask you one more question then. If she is going to make this progress, does she need to leave her husband in order to find relief?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, at some point, I imagine Bella will say to him, "Look, either you get therapy or we go to marriage counseling or something, um, or this isn't going to work."
Well, that's what I was going to say because clearly Dave has a complicated past. I mean, he's raised in an alcoholic home. He cannot tolerate one bit of emotion. And so if Bella draws a hard line and says, look, if we're going to have any kind of future together, then we need to start working on all of our issues, you included.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think if I were psychic, if I were,
Oh, yeah, the
that's
whole psychic thing.
that's what I imagine is down the road.
Cute. Um, well, hopefully she starts spending her energy in therapy instead of psychics. So,
Right. Well, that's it for Bella's story today, but there's more powerful stories like hers on the way.
if you found this helpful, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Or if there's someone you know who might benefit from these talks, share this episode with them. We're hoping to kind of build a community of understanding and support, and we invite you to be a part of that by sharing. If you're looking for more resources, consider checking out our book, Solve Your Out of Control Eating, available on Amazon. And remember,
Keep searching for clues.